Hello and good evening, CSI258 Section 847 students for the second 8-week term in the spring 2015 semester at Anne Arundel Community College. This is the CSI258 Networking 4 course, and this evening's Packet Tracer tutorial is going to be on Packet Tracer Activity 9.2.3.13, which is Troubleshooting Enterprise Networks 2, where our focus is going to be on EIGRP, but specifically EIGRP V6. As you can see here, we have a pure IPv6 addressing table here, and you've got your background. We're going to be looking at some DHCP, EIGRP V6, IPv6, and some default routing. So let's go ahead and dive in here, just like the other exercises we've already done, 9, 2, 3, 12, and 14. This is a pretty good indication of where we're going to have to look for some of the troubleshooting issues that we're going to have here. So let's just start with DHCP V6. So it says host A and host B are assigned addresses through IPv6 DHCP or DHCP V6, which is configured on router 1. So let's pull router 1 up and let's start our investigation here. And you could just as easily start on host B by pulling host B up or host A, and seeing that we have a link local address that's been assigned or that's been configured. However, the IPv6 gateway DNS server, we don't have any information. So if I were to flip to static and then flip it back, you can see we're not picking up any additional information here. So let's check host A out as well, who should also be lacking the IPv6 address, IPv6 gateway, and the IPv6 DNS server. Alright, so we'll pull router 1 up here and let's go to the CLI and let's take a look. The IPv6, we'll go to privilege exec with enable and then do a quick show run here. So IPv or DHCP v6 is a little different than the regular DHCP with IPv4. As you can see here, we have our pool, which is the R1 LAN. We've got our prefix delegation, which is coming from the pool address underscore pool, and then we have our DNS server information. So let's go down a little further. Typically with IPv4, we didn't do anything to any of the interfaces. However, with IPv6, we need to put on the interface the DHCP server statement so that it knows that that interface is supposed to serve as a DHCP server. So let's go ahead now. We'll go to global config, and what interface faces the LAN? It's gig 00. So if I were to say interface gig 00, I would have to say IPv6 DHCP server, and then what's the DHCP v6 pool? It's R1 underscore LAN. So we'll get that configured on gig 00. As you can see, it just awarded us the 10 points there. So we've got that sorted out. Let's see if there's anything else we need to do, or am I now picking up my DHCP information? So nothing yet, right? So we'll go from static, we'll flip to DHCP. We'll see, does host B pick up a DHCP address or not? Doesn't look like anything's going to happen yet. Let's check host A, and we may have to troubleshoot some other tasks. And it doesn't look like host A is picking anything up. It's just got its link local address here. It says DHCP v6 request failed. So we'll continue to troubleshoot here. So let's go ahead and let's pull up switch 3. We'll stretch this out a little bit. And let's take a look here. So it looks like the interfaces that we're using on switch 3, fast Ethernet 1, 24, and gig 01. So we'll go to privilege exec and we'll just do a show run here. So you can see that we've got pretty much a default setup here. So nothing special taking place on the switch. All right, so looking around here, we should be picking up our DHCP addresses, but it's not showing them yet. All right, well, let's configure, let's continue on here, do show run. Let's see what we've got. IPv6 DHCP pool R1 LAN. Prefix delegation pool is address underscore pool. We have the DNS server information. And we entered in the IPv6 DHCP server under the correct interface. Let's make sure that we've got the right IP address on that interface, 2001 DB8 ACAD:A. So that is correct. Okay, there may be something else along the way here that is going to help us out. So let's continue on, and we'll come back to the DHCP piece, although it does look complete at this point. All right, so the next statement says each router is configured with IPv6 EIGRP and uses AS100. So let's check that out. So what could be wrong? If you think of the things with EIGRP V6, the first one is that possibly it's in a shutdown state. Remember, with EIGRP V6, with prior releases or releases prior to 15.x, the process would be in the shutdown state by default. And with 15.x and above, it's not supposed to be. Excuse me, in a shutdown state. So let's say do show run, and let's see here. So we've got IPv6 EIGRP 100, so that's good on that interface. We're good on the serial interface as well as serial 000 and 001. So here's our statement. IPv6 router EIGRP 100. We've got a router ID set and no shutdown, right? So that's critical. So if I were to say do show IPv6 EIGRP neighbors, you can see I only have one neighbor, and that neighbor is router 2. So let's make our way up here to router 2 and take a look at router 2's config. So we'll go to the CLI here, and we'll go to show run, and let's see. So we've got the first interface. So EIGRP 1000, and then 1000 on gig 01, but then it's 100. So interesting, they set it, it's correctly set on the serial interfaces, so that's why the adjacency established with router 1. However, if I were to step back to router 1 and say do show IPv6 route, you'll notice I'm picking up the default route here, and I'm getting 2001 DB8 ACAD:23, and that's the transit network, probably between router 2 and router 3, and that's it. I'm not picking this network up here because, again, on the gig 00 interface, it was in EIGRP 1000. So this IPv6 global unicast address prefix does not show up in my IPv6 routing table for EIGRP. So let's sort that out, and it's set on both gig 00 and gig 01. So let's go ahead and go into global config and say interface gigabit 00, no IPv6 EIGRP 1000, and then we're going to say IPv6 EIGRP 100. And so we did gig 00 first. So now if I come back to router 1 and type in do show IPv6 route, do I now see an advertisement, an internal, right, the administrative distance of 90 with the metric of 2170112 for DB8, and I thought this was cute. They put in here CCIE. Well, it's a 1, but it's for CCIE. Instead of CC, there's really no way to do CCNA. So CCIE :A://64, and the prefix length is /64. So now we have this route here. Let's go ahead and make the same change on int GI 0/1, and let's see here, gig 0/1. Oops, sorry about that. Interface GI 0/1. And we're going to say no IPv6 EIGRP 1000, and we're going to say IPv6 EIGRP 100. And so we should now pick up a new route, And let's see, what should that be on the router 2 gig 01 ACAD colon F, is that correct? 2001 DB8 ACAD colon F, so there it is right there. //64, right? So we've got those two statements corrected on the interfaces. And remember, with EIGRP for IPv6, there's no way to activate the process under an interface with the network, or I should say with the network statement under the EIGRP process. There's no way to do that with EIGRP V6. You've got to do it under the interface. All right, so we've corrected the two interfaces, so everything looks really good there. Let's now go ahead and take a look finally here at router 3. Let's see what router 3's got configured, because remember, router 1 and 3 did not form an adjacency. So it could be the wrong autonomous system number. It could be that the IPv6 EIGRP 100 command is not on the interface. And oops, sorry, let's go to privilege exec. I'm going to say show run. All right. And we'll take a look at the IPv6 EIGRP. Everything looks good on the 2 gigabit Ethernet interfaces. How about here on the serial interfaces? It looks good. Maybe the process is shut down. Aha! So there we go. And again, you just kind of work through what are the settings that could impact the adjacency from forming, and we just stumbled upon it. So you can clearly see here that the IPv6 for EIGRP, the process is actually in a shutdown state. So let's go ahead and go to global config here, and we're going to say IPv6 router EIGRP 100 no shut, and take a look at that. So we immediately end up with two adjacencies forming with router 3. So if I were to type in, let's save our config here, so write memory, and I'm going to say show IPv6 EIGRP neighbors, right? So there are my two neighbors. And what about interfaces? So you can see that these are the interfaces on which I'm running the EIGRP process. So now over here at router 1, and let's stretch that up a bit here, you can see the adjacency is up. If I say do show IPv6 route, we should have a much more robust routing table here. In fact, we should be seeing, and there you go, the cafe ::2 and ::3. So we're picking the subnets up over behind router 3 now, whereas before we didn't have any of that information. Okay, excuse me. All right, so it says R3 is advertising a summary route to R2 and R1 for the two R3 LANs. So let's go ahead, jump back onto R3 here, and let's take a look at that summary route. And so let's go ahead and see here. It should be on serial 001 and 000. So where are we at here? All right, so here is the statement. So here is the summary. IPv6 summary address EIGRP 100. So that's correct, and then it lists out 2001 DB8 cafe ::/65. So given the impression that everything is zeros after cafe, and our subnets are :2 and :3 is where we have the difference, and they're /64s. So typically 2 /64s would be represented with a prefix length of a /63, not a /65. And so that's the first thing that looks a little odd. We've got our administrative distance of 5 on that summary. And then we take a look here at serial 001 2001 DB8 cafe ::/65. So they both have the summary address configured. However, it appears that it could be off. So let's go ahead, let's work this out real quick, and let's determine whether or not that's correct. I don't believe it is, because typically it's just like IPv4 subnetting, right? If I were to say I've got 2/24s, right, I could summarize those as a single /23. It wouldn't be that the 2/24s are a /25. You wouldn't increment when you're summarizing, at least in these scenarios here. So let's go ahead, let me clear the screen here real quick. All right, so we'll work it right up in here. So we've got these 16 bits, this hextet, these are the same, and these are the same, right? So each of these is 16 bits, right? Because each character is a hex character. So 2 is 0, 0, 1, 0, right? So each character is 4 bits. So we've got 48 bits right out of the gate that match. But we're summarizing these addresses here. And after the cafe, we've got a :2 and a :3. And that's our interesting hextet. And so if we break this out, right, remember, there are 3 zeros that have been eliminated prior to the 3, right? It's in the same hextet, but they've been eliminated. So we're going to say 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and now we'll do 2 first. So 2 would be 0, 0, 1, 0. And then 3 is just going to be 0, 0, 1, 1. Right? Keeping in mind that, and I'll draw them in here for completeness, 2, 3, 4, whoops, 2, 3, 4, there's 4 zeros in there. 3, 4. So where do these no longer match up? Well, they match here, but they don't match here. So we would do a little dotted line here and say that that is the bit boundary where these no longer match up, right? So we've got 48 bits that match already. Then we've got 4, 4, 4, and then 1, 2, 3. So 12, 15, so 48 plus 15, and yes, 63. So our prefix length should actually be a /63, right? Now, the tricky part here is when we put this back together, remembering that this bit value is on prior to it not matching. So that value is going to be carried over. So it's going to be 0, 0, 0, 2, right? So what is our summary? What should the summary look like? It should actually be 2001 :db8 :cafe :2, right? We need that value, right? /63. So again, it should be 2001, or at least this is what I've worked out here. We're going to find out in a second if this is correct. 2001 :db8 :cafe for cafe :2 /63, and I'll keep that value, this administrative distance value here of 5. We're going to keep that on there. So let's clear our screen and let's get back to setting this up. So here's what we're going to do first. I'm going to go into, whoops, we're going to go into global config mode, and I'm going to go ahead and say interface serial 000, and we'll say no IPv6. In fact, let me do this. We're going to cut and paste. It'll be a little quicker than I think me typing that all out. And paste. So we're going to pull that off. It should reset. Yep, there it goes. Soft reset of the adjacency there. And I'm going to go immediately into serial 001, and I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to pull the summary off. Excuse me. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's add our summary in that we configured. So we're going to say IPv6 and summary address EIGRP 100, and now what was our summary? We said it's 2001 :db8 :cafe :2 /63, and we're going to keep, if I do the question mark, the administrative distance, we're going to keep that at a 5. So I'm going to add that onto serial 001, and let's go to interface serial 000, and we're going to run that same command. And let's see from a points perspective, it doesn't like what we did, although that is definitely the correct statement. So let me say do show run, and where's my summary? Whoops, there's the second one. Let's make sure we've got these on here right. IPv6 summary address, EIGRP 100, 2001:db8:cafe:2:60/63. So those are correct, at least from what we worked out. That is correct. All right. So, and I'm wondering some of the behavior I'm seeing. So I'm using packet tracer 6.2. Let me, I wonder if it's going to let me copy this here, because there's a comment down here about version 601. Let me do this real quick. I'm going to kill this, and I'm going to pull packet tracer, let's see, local disk, programs, 611. Let's make sure, before we go any further, that this is not some sort of a version issue. Alright, so we'll pull up packet tracer here, and let's go ahead and kick open documents 258 and troubleshooting networks 2. Alright, so here we go. Same exercise. Oops, 611. Alright, exact same exercise. Let's make that a little larger there. Alright, so we already know some of the issues, and we're gonna jump on those first. So I'm gonna come right directly over here to router 3, and let's immediately see if that was the problem. Let's push this up a little bit there. So we'll go to the CLI. So we're going to say enable the privilege exec, say show run, and the summaries are both incorrect. Okay, so we're going to go into, whoops, serial 000. We're going to say no, and let's grab this whole thing here. Copy and paste. And then int serial 001, and we're going to say the same thing right away. And then I'm going to add in the correct command. So IPv6 summary address EIGRP 100 2001:db8:cafe :2:/63. Is that right? Let me double check here before we hit enter. That looks correct. Alright, and now let's jump into interface serial 000, and let's run that same command, and let's see if we receive. So it's not giving us any of the points. That is interesting, because that should be correct. Do show run. So it's not a version issue. Huh. All right, well, we're going to drive on. Maybe there could be something else that needs to get fixed along the way. Excuse me, that it's checking. So let's go ahead, and we're going to catch right back up to where we were here. On router 1, we did some DHCP work initially. So we had to show run, and the name of the pool is R1 LAN. So we had to go to global config and interface gig 00, was it? Yep. IPv6. DHCP server R1_LAN. Excuse me. Okay, so it did give us the points for that. Let's double check now. Let's see on host A. All right, so I picked up the DHCP server. No gateway, but we did get the DHCP server, and let's see what host B is reporting. So that's actually, yeah, that's actually better because it wasn't working prior. So I'm wondering if there is a versioning challenge with the version. Okay. So we've got that taken care of, and then what else had we, I think that was all we had done at that point. Okay, so we've got, oh, the shutdown command, I'm sorry. And maybe, is that, maybe it, if it's shut down, it's not going to give me credit for the summaries being advertised. So maybe that is it. Let's exit out here, and let's say router IPv6, whoops, IPv6 backwards again, IPv6 router EIGRP 100, and let's say no shut. So we've got 10 points. Let's see if that gives us, so it gave us 5 points, and I'm not sure if, we'll find out I guess, as to whether or not it wanted that to be done in addition to, or as part of the summary task, although I'm not certain that was it. All right, so we'll continue to drive on here. So R3 is advertising a summary. We just took care of that. R2 is configured with a fully specified default route pointing toward the ISP. So we'll jump back on router 2 here. Stretch this out a bit. All right, and so let's see what router 2 looks like here. We'll say show run. So we would expect that we're going to have a redistribute static statement for the EIGRP process. And as you can see, this is the one, right, this is the one that had the 1000. Yeah, so we need to fix that on gig 00 and gig 01. So let's take care of that. So we'll go into global config, interface gig 00, and say no IPv6 EIGRP 1000, and then IPv6 EIGRP 100. We'll do the same thing on gig 01. No IPv6 1000, EIGRP 1000, and then IPv6 EIGRP 100. And so we've got that taken care of on those two interfaces. Let's see. In fact, I'm debating whether or not that command should actually even be on that outside. Let's take that off. I'm not sure that's supposed to be on that gig 01 interface. Do show run. We may need to come back and add it, but that's okay. So we're going to leave it off. The ACAD:(F), because we're going to be giving a default route out here. So advertising that network is not necessary. Shouldn't be necessary. We'll see though. All right, let's come back down here and take a peek. So redistribute static statement is there. Let's get rid of no IPv6 router EIGRP 1000. We don't need that. Do show run. That process doesn't need to be there, so I'm going to pull that off. And here is the default route. Let's take a look at this. IPv6 route. So this is correct for the default route using gig 00. So that is correct. Gig 00 is correct. I'm sorry, that is not correct. It should be gig 01 on the default route. Let me make sure that I'm looking at that correctly. So yeah, unless these are backwards. Gig 01. All right, so there's only one way to check, right? So we're going to say interface Gigabit Ethernet 01 and shut. All right, so that is definitely gig 01. So we'll say no shut. And then I'm going to go ahead and say interface gig 00. Let's confirm. Shut. Okay, so that's definitely gig 00. All right, with the packet tracer activities, you can never be too careful. All right, so we've confirmed that those interfaces, as they're labeled up there, that is correct. All right, so do show run. That route is backwards, so the interface is wrong, and then the next hop IP is incomplete at best. So 2001 DB8, let's see, the gig 01 is 2001 DB8 ACAD:(F:(2), which would mean that my money is on this being ::1. So let's check, let's see if I can ping that address. So do ping 2001 DB8 ACAD:(F:(1). Okay, so it should be there. We're missing a 1 here, and we've got the interface backwards. So let's go ahead and let's sort this out right now. So I'm going to say no IPv6. We're going to yank this whole thing out of here because that is a mess. and I'm going to come back with IPv6 route :/0, right, instead of the quad zeros. I like this much better. And it's going to be gigabit Ethernet, spell that right, 0/1 is going to be the interface, and the next hop IP address is 2001:db8:ACAD:/F:1, and we're not going to tack an administrative distance onto this guy. So that should be it. Let's see if we get awarded any points for that. We do. Wow, it gave us 10 points for that. Okay, so that has been taken care of. So how can we confirm? Let's jump over here to router 1 and let's type in here show IPv6 route. Let's see what we see. And sure enough, there we go. We're picking up that default route, right? Remember, it comes as an external EIGRP route with an administrative distance of 170 because it's being redistributed, right? If it was originated within the autonomous system, it would just be 90, right? Like these routes here, right? Because those are in the same autonomous system. So since we've redistributed this route into EIGRP, we get a different administrative distance. All right, so we've got that set up. We're picking it up. So let's see. Let's throw it out here. Ping 2001:db8:CCIE, even though it's a 1, CCIE:/F:1. So I'm trying to ping outside host here. Let's see what happens. All right, so I can ping the outside host. Let me try to ping the TFTP server, which is going to be :A::2. All right, so from router 1, I've got connectivity. Let's check here on host A. Let's see if I've got connectivity through on host A. I'm going to try to work my way over to both the internet. 2001:db8:CCIE:/F:1. And I get that IP right? 2001:db8:CC1E:/F:1. All right, so host A cannot get there, or at least it's not getting there initially, which tells me that host B is probably going to suffer the same fate. And again, we've got some points that are hanging out there. We've got 20 points hanging out there, so it could be related to some issues there. So if I were to say ping 2001:db8:CCIE:/F:1, is that right? 2001:db8:CCIE:/F:1. Yeah, so these guys cannot make it out. So let's pull host A back up and let me say trace route, and let's actually do this. Let's try to trace route, see how far we get. See if we get anywhere. All right, it's not looking good on router 1. So let's take a closer look here at the config for router 1. And typically you want to make sure that, so the DHCP was configured properly. Let's check our interface addresses here. Let's make sure that router 1 has the right IP addresses assigned. So gig 00 should be 2001:db8:ACADA:1/64. That's correct. We've got our DHCP statement. Gig 01 is not configured. Serial 000 2001:db8:ACAD:12:1/64. So serial 000 is correct. Link local is good. All right, so let's check out serial 001. Link local looks good. 2001. Oh, really? Okay. All right. So it looks like we have an addressing mistake here. So the IPv6 address on serial 001, which comes over here to router 3, is incorrect. And this is interesting. So remember that the adjacency with EIGRP, if I were to type in show IPv6 EIGRP neighbors, you'll notice that we have adjacencies. So if you're asking yourself, well, how is that possible that I have an adjacency with router 3 because my IP address on this interface is wrong. Well, the global unicast address IP is what's in error here, right? Not the link local address, and it's between the link local addresses that the adjacency is actually established. It's not using the global unicast addresses to establish this adjacency. It's a point-to-point link, right? We're in the same network, and so we're going to use our link local addresses, and so the adjacency will form, and this is a tricky one here. The adjacency is going to form, giving you the impression, oh yeah, my IPs are correct. However, with IPv6, EIGRP V6, the adjacency is formed based off of the link local address. The global unicast address has nothing to do with it, and I don't think that's going to fix our connectivity issue, but let's go ahead and knock that out right now. So that was serial 001, and I'm going to say no, and let's go ahead and cut and paste here. Make sure we don't have any mistakes. Copy and paste, and then I'm going to pull it back up, and it should be 31. Let me double check that. 2000 on router 1. It should be 2001 DB8 ACAD :31::1. So we'll pull the no out of the way. All right. So let's get the correct IP dumped in there. All right, and that added 10 points to the score. So we caught the incorrect IP address, but again, the adjacency was established. It should not impact the connectivity. As you can see, this is still trailing on. Let's see if changing that IP fixed anything. I doubt it did. It's got to be something else, right? So we still can't trace route out. We're not even hitting the router here. So we'll have to come back and take a look at that. All right, so that was router 1's IPs. Let's due diligence here. Let's go ahead and let's check the router 2 against what was set up. So let's look at the link locals. Look good. 2001 DB8 CCIE-A1. That's correct. That's correct. The serial interfaces here. Let's make sure these are correct. Serial 000 is correct. 001 is correct. All right. Redistribute static is in there, so that looks good. All right. So it looks good on router 2. Let's take a look at router 3 here, and we'll go into privilege exec, say show run, and gig 00 is correct. And wait a second. 000. Hold on one second here. So serial 000 on, it should be ACAD 31::2, right? And that's correct because that's the link between router 3 and router 1. And then serial 001 2001 DB8 ACAD :23::1/64, and we've got that summary there that we never really received the points for, ironically, but I swear that's the correct summary. Okay, and then we've got the right EIGRP process. So those IPs all look good. Let me do one last look here on router 1. Whoops, show run, there we go. All right, so router 1, gig 000. That is correct. And so when I shut, yeah, let me make sure that that's right. Because that LAN, we're picking up the DHCP, but I can't even get to that interface. So int gig 00. Let me say shut. Huh. Okay. So that is a problem. All right. So that actually is an issue right there. So we shut down gig 00 and it didn't shut down in the image. All right, give me a second here. Let's go to int gig 0, because it seems like a common thread here in some of the packet tracer activities. There's a common theme, and that's that the interfaces are wrong on the interface labels, like gig 00. These are wrong either over here or over here. They've got these wrong. So if I go into int gig 01, and let me shut that down. There you have it. So okay, two ways to solve this. So no shut. So it shows 00. I guess it could be one of two things, right? There's two ways we can fix this. I could configure up gig 01 with the same configuration information, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm thinking that this is correct. So what they have here is actually correct, and what they want you to find is that this is not the connection from switch 3 over here to router 1 is not in the right port. So I'm trying to think of how they're going to want you to fix this. I'm just going to guess. So there's only two ways to fix it. It's either delete this connection, put it in the right interface, or configure gig 01. But since they've got it here and here, whoops, sorry about that. Since they have it here and here as gig 00, let's do this. I'm going to wipe this link out, and we're going to go to connections, copper straight through, and I probably should have looked to see where this was connected on switch 3. I can't remember, but hopefully this works out. And so gig 00. And I remember I left that shut down. So interface gigabit 00, no shut. We'll bring it up, and now let's take a look. These guys should be getting full, well, once spanning tree figures itself out there, these guys should be getting more than simply the DNS server, although I thought it was odd that even misconfigured, it picked up the DNS server off of, if we're plugged into an interface that wasn't even connected to the network. So there we go. So let's see, is this going to change anything here? Let me flip it to static, and there we go. Okay. All right, so the DHCP config is DHCP V6 config is complete on host A. Let's check host B. Much better. So let's come back here. We'll close this out, and let's trace route. All right, trace is complete. Let's check on host B, and look. Yeah, so that was actually it. They actually gave the 10 points for that, and now I can ping. Okay, so there was some good troubleshooting issues in this exercise. So to recap off the top of my head here, so the first thing was we had a bogus IP address on, I can't remember which router it was on. I think it was router 1 or 2. 1. I think it was router 1 had the wrong IP, right, between router 1 and router 3. We had the wrong IP address. We had default route was bogus, right, needed to be reconfigured. We had the autonomous system number of 1,000 up on, I believe, router 2. We had the EIGRP process was shut down on one of the routers, so we needed to resolve that. The most interesting thing, though, is the summary. So we had the two summaries that were changed that we didn't get any point. They didn't give us any points for it, and I know that those are the right summaries on router 3. Those have to be the right summaries. Those two entries there. We didn't get any points, but I guess let's check and make sure we got connectivity works back to those guys. So 2001:DB8:CAFE:3::, what's back on that 3? ::2. Yeah, so that is the right summary, because if it was the wrong summary, we wouldn't be able to connect back there. So we connected to 3::2. Now what's host or admin PC1 is 2::2. Yeah, so those are the correct summaries. Those summaries are correct. But interestingly enough, we didn't get any points for those. So, okay, that's okay. And then there was one last problem that we had, which was the connection between switch 3 and router 1, the last thing that we fixed. And that was basically, we were, 50-50. It was a coin toss, right? Do we config up gig 01 so that everything works, or since both the diagram and the addressing table showed gig 00, once we figured out that it was plugged into the wrong port, we unplug it and then bring it back into gig 00, and everything worked and is up. And so these are 3 great exercises for your troubleshooting skill set. All right, well, this wraps up Packet Tracer Activity 9.2.3.13, which was the Troubleshooting Enterprise Networks 2 exercise, which was EIGRP V6, Dhcp V6, and IPv6 in general. All right, good stuff. I hope that you're studying, and I will see you Saturday for the final.